So before I contracted Lyme disease, I really didn't pay attention to my health. Yeah, I don't think I had bad habits, but it wasn't something that was on my mind 24/7. And I love that because I had lots of time and energy to do other things and not be so worried about my health. So I missed that for a long time. I'd say I remember being in graduate school in Canada. I was doing a master's program and I was by myself in Montreal, really excited to be there. And I started having a feeling of like the room spinning. And whenever I was walking, being kind of unsteady. And so that was so frightening to me. And I tried to pass it off as like, I'm tired, I'm traveling, I'm doing something else. But that was really strange to me, so much and so off that I felt like that was the first of many trips that I actually took to the emergency room because I know my body and I knew myself and I knew this was just not what was normal for me. I had been to other doctors, my regular GP, and kind of got a response like you're stressed, you're kind of going through menopause, you're busy at work, you have a lot on your plate, and a lot of dismissiveness. So I found an osteopath who I thought could really do a full workup on me and kind of dig deeper. That's what I was looking for. And in talking to her, she said, well, have you ever been tested for Lyme disease? And I thought, well, no. Um, and so she tested me and she went straight away to do a Western blot test and it came up positive, which surprised me in some way, but also at least gave me a reason why perhaps all this craziness was going on. I do. I live in one of those perimeter areas where I have about 11 acres that's off of a main highway, but it's bordering the woods. So I would love to go out into the woods and like pick flowers and do these big flowery spreads. So I had a big party for a lot of friends in the spring and I had gone out to the woods and we have a big grove of bamboo. So I was picking bamboo and flowers and made a big arrangement. And the next morning, I was laying in bed and I thought, oh my gosh, there's something pinching under my arm. What is that? And I was kind of scratching my arm and felt something hard. And sure enough, it was an embedded tick. The dermatologist did kind of a basic Lyme test and said, oh, well, you aren't positive, so don't worry about going on antibiotics. Everything should be fine. And I really didn't think another thing about that. And really, that was in April of 2014. And the symptoms that I started having really didn't occur until like 2016. It seemed like it was a progression, a delay that took a while to kind of express itself for me. Whenever I had my diagnosis in 2016, kind of late 2016, of course, my osteopath said, okay, let's do doxycycline. And I did that, and I can't say that I felt much better. As a matter of fact, I felt like my progression of symptoms was starting to move into weird heart symptoms. Like all of a sudden, my pulse would just like zoom up to 90 or 110. And then I started to go to actually seek care to see a cardiologist because I thought, wow, something is up with my heart. As it turns out, I was diagnosed with a first degree AV block, but they really said, oh, well, don't worry about it. There's not a whole lot we could do. Maybe you need some anti-anxiety medicine. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take a vacation, take 3 weeks off. And my cousin lives in Italy. So I was in Italy and was so hopeful that just removing myself from my environment and relaxing for 3 weeks was going to solve everything. But quite the opposite happened. I mean, really there, I almost started having feelings of anxiety that were so unlike me, especially to be on a vacation with my family where all I ever had to worry about was like reading and relaxing on the beach. I was feeling so frightened and so nervous that I was actually calling my doc back home and went to the emergency room in Italy. What was crazy is at that time on the vacation, I started experiencing air hunger, which to me was one of the most frightening symptoms of all, because I had just been told my heart was okay, but yet I really felt a struggle in breathing, and it was so frightening. So after I made it home from that trip, I was talking to my husband who had experience and colleagues in the area of Chinese medicine, and said, well, why don't we try that? So we looked for an expert and found Brian Crawford. Well, I live on the East Coast in Western Maryland, and I decided to fly cross country to see Brian Crawford out in Oregon. And even to fly out there was something that was difficult for me. I was so scared to be on a plane for 5 hours, feeling that shortness of breath feeling. But at that time, I had really exhausted all things that Western medicine were offering me, with the exception of, like anti-anxiety medicines, which I really had a problem with because I knew in my heart something physiological was going on, not something that was psychological. So we went out west. Brian did a consult with me and evaluated my pulses and did a physical evaluation, a lot of questions, and really devised an herbal formula that really, by the second day of that trip, I remember taking a drive to the beach in Oregon, and there was this big sand dune, and I thought, oh my God, could I make it to walk up that sand dune? And I was like, okay, I think I can do this. I think I can do this. And I just remember walking up that sand dune and seeing the other side of the Pacific Ocean, and just like crying that, oh my God, finally it's going to be okay. This is something that kind of drives you crazy. I mean, and you're really taught as you experience other practitioners that you are crazy. So I think having somebody kind of believe that this is real to you and find a methodical solution that's based on, taking pulses, which is a very physiological skill, I think is like a miracle. And I love the way that it's plant-based too, because I just feel like in my antibiotic experiences, there were others beside the doxycycline that really messed me up. So though this may take more time, I feel like it's a true sense of healing. And I just think the other thing that you had said once is, I asked you, okay, so in all the people that you deal with this, like, do you find any gift in it or any sense of thing like that? And you were like, hey, I think these people are very intuitive. And I do think that for me has been something that I see, maybe even especially in all of the craziness of the virus going on, because I've really had to like step up and be a leader in my profession and, be super on top of paying attention and reading and comprehending, and those things that some people think Lyme disease kind of messes them up for, that they don't really have like the mental, intellectual focus capacity anymore. But I've kind of felt like I have that, plus this sense of insight that has really been a gift. So to remember that you know your body best, and not to get off track by some casual statement by a physician who is telling you you don't, or that they know better. So trust your knowledge of your body. Find a Chinese herbal medicine person that you trust and follow along with the protocols that they recommend. I think also to be patient and know that you're safe. I mean, I've really personally experienced times where I felt like I was going to die. I mean, I am a normal functioning professional person. I mean, can you believe that you would actually feel that way? Because Lyme disease has that effect on you. I never understood that. So I would just say, have faith that you're safe, find someone you trust, and then stick with the program and trust that you know your body best.